Hello, dear friends. We welcome you at our Thursday short lecture, and today's presentation will be devoted to the influence of human emotions on the results of our Bioel GDV scans. We will speak about how negative and positive emotions are manifest at our GDV-grams. And I would like to start with one research, which was carried out about 10 years ago in the Russian Center of Mental Research in Russian city Khabarovsk. It was quite an exciting research because its goal was to see how negative emotions such as anger, resentment, guilt, and despair influence the psychological and physical health of a person and how it can be seen on the GDV-gram. The participant of this experiment was a lady who had quite a stressful private life. She had a happy family with her husband and children, but the ex-wife of this husband couldn't let them live peacefully. She was threatening this woman, blaming her for stealing her husband. So it is a trivial life situation. But this lady was a quite sensitive person, so she suffered a lot from this emotional pressure for many years, and she had to hide her emotions. She was quite successful in her business, in social life, so almost no people knew that she was suffering. And it lasted for a few years. After that, she already realized that she needed some help. That's why she came to the Center of Mental Research. And there, an experiment was done. At first, this woman was scanned by the GDV camera Bioel when she was in the condition of high stress, anger, and all those negative emotions. After that, she had to undergo some psychological practice. She had to imagine that she was talking to that rival lady, and she had to say everything she felt, to speak about her emotions, to pour out her heart, so that it would lead to emotional release. So the lady did it. She talked to that woman in her imagination. She said that she didn't mean to steal somebody's husband. It just happened that people fell in love and got together. And she asked that woman not to interfere with their life anymore and just spoke about all her feelings. And at that moment, she really experienced some emotional release and calmed down and felt relief in the end. And after that, another Bioel measurement was made with filter and without filter. So we can compare the difference, and the difference is very obvious. I would like to share the results with you. So here is, at the moment you can see on the screen the result of the first measurement when the lady was in this high psycho-emotional pressure. And it is quite interesting. You can see the blue line representing the health status and the red line representing the energy reserves. And it is the left hand and the right hand as usually. So you can see quite a strange situation. Normally, as you know, the Bioel scans show that the energy reserves of each organ are a bit higher than its health status. But here it's different. The health status of the lady is quite high, the health status of all organs, but the energy reserves are very low. This happens when a person is experiencing very negative feelings like anger, resentment, guilt, or despair. So the person kind of tries to hide themselves, to escape from this situation and not to solve it, kind of go to the state of embryo and just to do nothing, to hide from this emotional pressure and negative factors. And it is interesting that on the left hand it is more obvious than on the right hand, because the left hand is responsible for the subconscious level. This is how the person really feels, while the right hand shows more how the person looks in the society, how the person tries to look for other people. So the right hand is more responsible for consciousness. Now we can see the second scan, which was taken after the emotional release of the lady, and both of the scans were taken without filters so that we can see the psycho-emotional state more than the physical state. Here you can see that the red line representing the energy reserves has come closer to this blue line representing the health status, which means that the woman got more emotionally stable. Yes, in Russian there is a proverb that healthy spirit lives in healthy body, and this is the case when a person is stable emotionally and physically. Then now we can see the next picture, which will show, yes, it will show the energy of the lady. So this scan was taken before the emotional release, when she was in this high emotional pressure and in the state of anger. Here you can see that there are holes in this energy, which means that the person is quite vulnerable and emotional and energetically unstable, because there is no bioenergy protection. The person can react very emotionally and unstably to different situations and negative factors. And if such situation lasts for a long time, it can lead to chronic diseases in the areas which are close to those holes in the energy. Also, the symmetry here is very low, quite low. It's 69%, and it was also obvious because the data from the right hand and left hand was different, so the symmetry was not so high. Even when a person is in the state of low energy, the general energy of the body, of the organism, is quite low. The right side of the person is more filled with energy than the left side. This is one more example how the person tries to look better when they go to the society, when they are engaged in their social life. And the left side, again, it has more holes because it represents the subconscious level, the way the person really feels. So the right side, from the point of view of metaphysics, is the reasonable and the conscious side. Here, now we can see the picture, the scan after the emotional release of the lady. Here we can see the situation has improved a lot. There are not so many holes anymore, and there is more energy. Of course, there are still some holes because it can't improve so quickly, because it was a very serious situation in the beginning, but it is much better. It's an obvious difference. The level of symmetry is also high. It is 86 in this case. Now, also, I will not show it to you because the quality of the scan is not so good. It is quite an old version of software, about 8 years old. That's why it's still in Russian here. It's just from the Russian Research Center. But the level of stress was very high in the beginning. It was the area of stress. And after the emotional release, it was in the optimal zone. Chakra. Now we can speak about the chakras of this lady. So in the beginning, they were quite unbalanced, not very unbalanced, but quite unbalanced. So, this scan was taken without filter. Yes, so it shows the emotional state more. And the next scan was taken with filter, but also before the emotional release, in the beginning of the experiment. So here you can see that it is almost balanced because it is without filter. Only one chakra is quite disbalanced. It is the 5th Vishuddha chakra, which is responsible for the verbal contact with the social world. And if this chakra is harmonized, the person is supposed to be in harmony with the outside world and to be able to express their emotions and feelings. But this lady had a problem with this because she had to suppress her feelings and emotions and didn't speak about them. And it is obvious here that the positions of the chakras with filter and without filter are quite different, which means that the soul and the body of the person are kind of living different lives. They are not in harmony. The person is not living a full-fledged life, they are just existing mechanically. And now let's see the condition of chakras after the emotional release of the lady, after that psychological practice, when she calmed down and felt quite balanced. The one on the left was taken without filter, and the one on the right was taken with filter. So you see that it is much better situation, and the chakras are closer to each other on the physical and on the psychological level, which is much better because this means that the person is already more sincere with themselves and with the outside world, and is not hiding their emotions anymore. So this is the beginning of harmony with yourself. So as you see, negative feelings can be quite destructive, even in case a person looks normal and seems to have quite a successful social life. If they're suppressing negative emotions for a long time, it can be very destructive. And now I would like to ask our colleague from the US, Karen Odell, to share her scans with us, because she has amazing example of GDV scans of the person who is experiencing negative and positive emotions. So Karen, please, I would like to give you a word.
Hi. Yes, the first scan that I'd like to share is of my son. He was 10 years old in this scan, and he was really mad at me. He had asked if a friend could spend the night, and I had said no, because he had just had a friend spend the night before. So I told him no, he couldn't. So in this image, he's really angry with me. He's also very tired because he'd had an overnight the night before and not much sleep. And so he's angry, he's tired, and I think this was, getting close to dinner time. So he's probably getting a little hungry too. So this one's a triple whammy, but the anger is pretty evident here. He was telling me he hated me and he hated his life, and he was just very expressive about it. So he was definitely not holding this anger in. It was definitely projected at me, and he was very vocal about it. And so I asked him, while you're angry at me this way and having these emotions, do me a favor and put your fingers in the bio-well. And so he obliged, the whole time telling me how angry he was with me. And we did the scan. And as you can see here, his biofield is almost completely shot. This intensity of anger decimates the shield. We can see a nice spike here coming out from the heart. Very focused there. And we can see the spikes around the crown too, just that anger boiling over. So we see a pretty good balance between the right and left sides, because he wasn't keeping this inside. Like I said, he was very vocal about his feelings. If we look at the chakras, I was teasing him on this one. I told him his heart chakra shrunk to the size of the Grinch. So the chakras closed up and constricted. Flow of energy was very constricted, and we can see that the 5 and 6 are very off from the anger. If we look at his analysis, we see that his organs balance is gone. His left-right symmetry is very low, energy is low, and his emotional pressure is maxed out. So the health status wheel shows us pretty how severe the decimation of the shield was. We only have a little bit of energy going on in the cerebral zone vessels and the throat, larynx, trachea, thyroid. And then if we look at the energy reserves, we see a pretty close match there, because once again, he wasn't keeping this inside. He was very expressive about how he felt at the time. So we see that, yeah, extreme anger totally decimates this energy field. And we did a scan a few hours later. He had started to calm down. We started to play some games, watch some movies, and he got in a better mood. And so we did a scan 3 hours later. This is 3 hours after experiencing the extreme anger. So you can see that even after a 3-hour time lapse, his field has still not filled in completely. He still has a lot of holes here. And then we go about 45 minutes later, and we see it filling out much better now. And then we add another 2 hours to that, and we see a little more evenness in here. So it took him about 6 hours to rebuild his energy field and bring the system back to a more balanced state from that extreme expression of anger. If we look at the health status, it has filled out. However, there still are some dips in energy we see in coronary vessels and cerebral zone. Energy reserves filled out quite a bit. But yeah, and this was, like I said, a matter of 6 hours for him to go from no field to rebuilding his energy system from extreme anger. Then we look at a totally opposite case of an energy medicine practitioner that was preparing to give a treatment. So this is actually an image of myself. I was preparing to give an energy therapy treatment to a client. And so in this state, my emotions and my concentration and focus is on gratitude, love, and healing. So these are the intentions I'm holding while I'm preparing to provide a treatment. So this image here is what love looks like, and gratitude. This is me inviting the universal energies in, receiving them to flow through my system so that I can deliver them to a client. And I am putting my intention on these energies of delivering this energy to my client for the greatest good, whatever that may be for them. Because the energy is a lot smarter than I am. It knows where it needs to go to be of the most benefit to someone. So you see, the energy field is nice and full. I'm actually at 117 joules right now here, and a balance of 99%. If we look at the chakras, they're pretty full because I'm opened wide up here to receive the energy and to give it. So the chakras are pretty expanded. We can see an index of 100%. If we look at the analysis, we find, once again, my organs balance in this was very low as I'm channeling this energy. Everything else, like left-right symmetry, is optimal, and the energy, like I said, is very high. Emotional pressure is going into the anxiety level as I prepare and think about what I'm doing here. Health status, you'll see it as nice and full. One benefit of being an energy practitioner is that when you give a treatment to a client, you get a treatment because I'm actually channeling the energy through my own body. So it helps my physiology as well. And the energy reserves, you can see they're just, yeah, off the charts. So we go from, you know, one extreme to the other, we can see here. So we see what opening yourself up to the universal energies, receiving it, and coloring it with those intentions of love and gratitude and healing. And then we see what the experiencing extreme anger does. So obviously there's quite a big difference in what you see in the energy systems of anger and of love.
Thank you very much, Karen. It was a wonderful demonstration of the power of emotions and how they can influence the quality of their life, of our life. It's great. So now I would like to tell you about our research, which we carried out recently. I will also share my screen with you. And it has also something to do with the positive and negative emotions and with stress. Recently, we have carried out research based on visiting two absolutely different exhibitions in the Czech Republic. Our GDVplanet team visited an exhibition of meditation accessories. Those were different tools and accessories used during meditation. So logically, the majority of the visitors of these exhibitions were people who practice meditation regularly. And the second exhibition was an industrial one. It was devoted to industry and innovations. So people who came there were mostly engaged into innovative technologies, industry, business, and some of them were businessmen who have very stressful life and don't have time to take care of their mental and physical health. During both exhibitions, we took GDV scans with the GDV camera Biowell of approximately 30 people from each of the exhibitions. So finally we had quite a lot of data, and in the end we made a report where we compared the data from the participants of both exhibitions, and it was quite obvious that there is a great difference. We have removed all extreme data, extreme results like the highest and the lowest one, so that they don't influence the statistics, and just compared average results of the participants of both exhibitions. So here you can see the health status and the energy reserves of the exhibitions. On the right, it is the meditation accessory exhibition, and on the right, it is the industrial one. So you can see that the majority of participants of the meditation accessories exhibition have a very good level of health state and a good level of energy reserves. Actually, it's almost ideal. It is close to the level of the titanium cylinder. So it is just somewhere in the middle of green zone. And as I have told you, it is the average result. And on the contrary, the participants of the industrial exhibitions had a very low energy reserves and very low health status. The majority of them had it. So you see that the average level is somewhere in the orange zone, and it should be in the green zone. And some of the indicators are even in the pink zone, which is a very low level. And of course, people of different age groups participated there. There were many people who were young and looked quite healthy, but still they had these very low levels of energy reserves and health status. So let's see the chakras. The first thing you can notice that the participants of the meditation exhibition have quite big chakras in comparison to those who took part in the industrial exhibition. This means that their energy flow is in a better condition. The energy circulates better, and they have more energy, basically. And secondly, their chakras are quite centered, more centered than those of the industrial exhibition. These participants have quite dispersed chakras. These one are more aligned. So the next thing is emotional pressure. It is also quite obvious that the participants of the meditation exhibition had quite good level of emotional pressure. It is mostly in the optimal level or in the very beginning of anxiety, but most people have it in the optimal level. And the participants of the industrial exhibition have it much higher. You see that the average level is is anxiety. It is quite far from the optimal level, which is here. And some people even have reached the level of stress. So the people who took part in this industrial exhibition are obviously in a state of higher emotional pressure. So the second indicator, which was shown during the measurements with the GDV camera Biowell, was the level of energy. It is, in this case, it's on the contrary. The energy level of the participants of the meditation accessories exhibition is much higher. It is mostly in the high level of the optimal area, or even close to the high-end level. So they have quite a lot of energy, very good energy reserves. While the participants of the industrial exhibition were much more exhausted. Most of them have their energy level in the beginning of the optimal zone, or even in the lower zone. So these are the results, and it is quite obvious that people who take care of their emotional state and spiritual health are in much better condition than those who are stressed out and devote all their time to their work and don't have time to take care of themselves and their emotional state. So this amazing result to which we came during this research with the GDV camera Biowell shows that we should take care of our emotional health as well. You can learn more about the GDV camera Biowell on our website, gdvcamera.com or gdvplanet.com. Thank you for participation in our today's presentation, and see you next Thursday. Bye.